Hello everybody, my name is Soren, and today I want to do a commentated time-lapse process, walk you through kind of my general process when I'm doing artwork, because I thought that would be fun, and this is 100% unscripted. I'm just gonna wing it, so I hope the results are fantastic. Before we start, I do want to mention that before I even start drawing, I create a Milanote folder on Milanote. It's fantastic. If you don't use Milanote or something like it, I would highly recommend that you use Milanote and something like it. And then from there, I will make thumbnail sketches. So these are the thumbnail sketches for this rabbit and steel piece that I finish within this time lapse. I pick one and I kind of just go for it. So without further ado, let's get into the time lapse. So my first thing that I do is I do a cleaner-ish sketch on top of my thumbnail. I make the thumbnail the size of my canvas, and right now, this, despite being kind of like clean, this is still a sketch. So we're just getting the shapes in, we're figuring out how everything's gonna kind of look. And it's not supposed to be too rigid. It's just supposed to be more like defining shapes and that kind of thing. Making sure everything is kind of where it's supposed to be. All things in their place, if that makes sense. There's a little bit of indication of what I want the background to look like, and then we're actually going to get into line art. So I'm just working on the rabbit on the far right first and doing cleaner line art with a little bit of line variation. I do my line art over multiple sessions, so I will write the brush opacity and the size in the top corner. On a different layer, so I don't forget about it when next time I open the canvas. I don't have much to say about line art. It's one of my favorite phases of drawing. It just is. It's kind of like rendering, where I turn my brain off a little bit, and you just kind of go for it. It's a lot about shapes. I love shapes. I think shapes are so cool. In my mind, I wanted this piece to be really graphic and for it to pop out. I do each rabbit on a different layer, because originally I wanted to split them all up, but I do end up merging it together. It was a little bit of an ambitious idea originally when I started this, but yeah. But a tip, though, is to draw through. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody, but drawing through other objects will let your object look a little bit more real, instead of being like, oh, it's going to go behind this, and then you make it look a little wonky. Sometimes just putting it on a different layer and putting it behind and then cutting it off, despite nobody ever seeing it, is sometimes helpful. So it actually looks like it's actually going behind the thing. So this is the last bunny. We're getting real close to being done all the line art here. And then I erase the bits that you wouldn't see and then shouldn't see. And then I am adding a big thick line around them as like a big thick silhouette-ish of big graphic lines on their on the exterior of all the little guys. Basically, this is mine and my friends' rabbits from Rabbit and Steel. And I really just wanted to draw us all together with the classes and the bunnies we all played, because we were playing it a lot. And we did a really good job last time we played, fixing up a couple things inside. And then I do a layer mask. I mask in all of the shapes. And then I start doing some base colors with a lasso tool. I'm trying to keep the colors either neutral or slightly desaturated, though I'm not always successful with that when working with so many colors, because I want to do like a rim light with pops of color. I do have to do my lighting twice. The first time I learned that the hard light layer can be used as a multiply and screen at the same time. And I got a little bit carried away with that. I got a little bit too painty I knew originally what I wanted to do, but then I got a little carried away, and it started to look a little uncanny for a bit. So this next little bit of painting is gonna be a little awkward and uncanny. It's not gonna look good. But basically, I'm just trying to put in like some colors, some bounce lights, some shadows, just really rough. Like I don't do most of this zoomed in. I hate zooming in. I'm not a zoomer. And I'm starting with just the rabbit on the left, and I kind of just make my way down the line. But this stuff is not going to change, not going to stay. It's really, really muddy. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look saturated enough. The whole time I was doing it, I was like, oh, this just doesn't look good. This just doesn't look good. I can't make it look like this. My friends aren't going to like it. So yeah, you can see that's coming along terribly at the moment. But you know, that's the thing, is like you can choose something, and then you can realize, oh, maybe this wasn't the right direction, and then you can stop and go back and pick a better direction. That's a way to do it. You don't always got to get it right the first time. Sometimes you got to mess up and make mistakes and be like, oh, okay, maybe using the hard light layer was a bad idea, because it's only the second time I've used it to do lighting, and perhaps I'm not well versed enough to do it well at this moment for this specific piece. So I kind of just went back to old reliable multiply and overlay. Those are my favorite layer modes to use for lighting. Is I love just using multiply and then cutting out where I want the light to be, and then making the light punch you with the overlay on the spots that are supposed to be lit. And I'm sure that's very apparent in my normal artwork. So especially here, I kind of realized, oh, I don't like how this is looking, and like I kind of started like painting it a little bit more. There's too many like 3D forms, and I want it to be kind of more graphic. And so this section of the time lapse is all basically about to disappear very soon. But I didn't mention it, but the background is in, and I wanted it to be also very like geometric and graphic, so I wasn't sure why exactly I went into this weird painting direction with the rabbits in front. Right here, I'm like trying to find a way to make it look well, look good, without sacrificing all the work I've just done at this point, and it's not working. You can all see this one is not working right now, and I realized that I'm very shortly. Sorry to spoil that revelation. I'm like really saturating everything, and then just looks out of place. Like they just don't look like they belong. And I tried desaturating the background so then it would look like they popped out a little bit more, but it just wasn't working because I already messed up on their colors and stuff in terms of the shading and the rendering step. Hi Chi, welcome. All right, so now we're restarting, and I have colored the line art this time to kind of go with the more graphic nature of it. So that adds a little bit, and now we have our multiply layer. We're cutting away where the lights are going to be. Old faithful, here we go. It's almost the same light. It's exactly the same lighting scenario as the one I messed up on. But yeah, now we're just cutting out the shapes of the light. And then we're gonna hit it with our good old faithful overlay for some light, some like white yellowy lights. And yeah, that looks delicious. It's looking much better now, and adding some bounce lights and adding some reflections and all of that, so it looks extra bright and impactful and graphic. So my first pass is just kind of like a simple, or just lay things down. Like I'm starting on the rabbit on the left again, the far left, and just adding like terminators between shadows and and lights, and also kind of thinking about, could I just go back to what I was doing? I'm so far ahead. And just trying to like lay in some more medium-sized shapes and putting in a little bit of details, not too much, but just kind of like doing a first pass of lights and shadow rendering on them, and trying to keep it simple and not go too far ahead, because I wanted it to be simple and clean, like the song from Kingdom Hearts, without getting too, ahead of myself and too ambitious and over rendering, which is hard when you like rendering. I like rendering a lot. So a lot of this was like adding blues and somehow bringing in some reds. I love red lighting. I always default to red. But there's a lot of purples, so the shadows should be more blue shifted because of the bounce light. But I like red. Red is such a strong color. So I'm onto the second rabbit now, the heavy blade rabbit, and the heavy blade rabbit actually has red, so it felt a lot more natural to be like, oh, add a little bit of red in there, and I did. I did that. It was very, very good. It felt very, this is what I normally do. And so again, just lightening things, adding like the transitional lighting between a shadow and a light when you get those like strong pops of color that are so good. I love when you like look at paintings and you can see like the shadow and then that like that line of just like this saturated pop of color that just, it looks so good. I love it so much. So greens are kind of a struggle for me. I don't do a lot of things that are green. So picking the correct shades of green to make the greens look good was very difficult. I had a lot of struggles because it was like, oh, I'm shifting too much into red, or I'm making it look blue, and I struggled with that a lot. I need to do things that are more green. I typically always do reds and bright colors, and I've been trying to do more cool compositions, but just using reds and yellows and orange is just so damn nice. All right, so now I'm on the last rabbit. This one was the simplest one. A lot of white, White usually is reflecting light instead of like making the shadows look too dark. So I tried to not make it get too dark, except the hair, where black hair seemingly reflects a lot of color back, and like that doesn't reflect it back, but like it takes in a lot of the color. So then you can add all these splashes of fun color into the dark hair of the dancer rabbit. And that was very fun. I liked that. So this one is kind of like you can see that there's still a lot of like rough bits in this, like the druid rabbit has a lot of things that need to be smooth and polished, and this is basically what the next step is to basically like smooth out the transitions between shapes and make things look a little bit more nice, where it was before was very kind of like rough. Here's the shadow, so now we're like, oh, hitting like the final like polishing stages of, like smoothing things out and adding like smaller shadows. It's kind of like working in big, medium, small, if that makes sense, where you're working like big base colors into like the medium shapes of like the light and shadows, and then the small is like working up through like the bounce light and smoothing out the lines and adding the Terminator colors and all that fun stuff that people really like the look of, but it's something that you don't want to do first. So now we're moving on back to the druid bunny. It's kind of like moving from left to right and right to left again. And we're this one took me the longest to do because I wanted to make sure that the volume of the hair was still there and it didn't look too flat. And also picking the right greens. There was also the staff, and I wanted the staff to kind of glow to be like a secondary light source, because behind them, if you've ever seen like the promotional artwork for Rabbit and Steel, there's like these bright buildings and stuff, and I really wanted to emulate that look. But I wanted the staff to glow to be like a secondary light source on the druid and a little bit of the heavy blade rabbit. So that was a little bit of a challenge. Took a little bit more time than the other ones. The other ones are simple. They don't got much going on, which if you've seen the Rabbit and Steel rabbits, they are quite simple and they are very adorable. So translating them into like 3D and rendering them like this was fun. It was very fun. I love this piece, and that's why I wanted to do a time-lapse commentary of it, because I thought it was so fun. So fun to work on this. I do wish that I would actually record my screen when I'm doing this, because then you could actually like zoom in and see what's happening. It's very difficult on like these small portions to like see the actual details being rendered in and whatnot. It's very slow. It's like, where is it right now? But right now we are still rendering the druid rabbit. I struggle with remembering to record my screen because I'm drawing all the time and I'm like, I should open like OBS and record, and then I just don't. But Clip's got me, at least. Clip Studio Paint, the GOAT, got me for recording my time lapses, and I am forever grateful. If I could offer any like advice for anybody to like do big illustrations, this isn't particularly that big, but it's to kind of work in phases if that works for your workflow. So to like do like a first lighting pass and then like do your rendering and then more lighting passes and contrasts and that kind of thing, and not to try and like to trust your own process, like find something that works for you and something that you can kind of reliably do, which takes a lot of experimenting and time, and I know that. But, you know, like for me, I do, you know, I sketch, I do another sketch, and then I do line art, and then I do base colors, the background, the lighting, or rough lighting, a first render, or like a rough render, and then like fix that render, a little bit of like where the real monotonous detail comes in, and then a final lighting pass to kind of make things pop, and some like level tone adjustments and color adjustments and color balance and whatnot, and then it's kind of done. So now we're working on the heavy blade rabbit. I'm kind of doing like the hair first a little bit. I jump around a lot. I try not to noodle in one spot, especially on like one subject. So like I'll be like, oh, I should do the hair up here, and then I'm like, oh, the dress needs a little bit more rendering. I'm like, oh, the sword needs a little bit. I need to do that part so I don't forget. And then I'm kind of like jumping around a lot, and it just keeps my like, I don't get bored of working on the same thing because I'm constantly like, oh, what about that thing? The heavy blade rabbit was probably the simplest because it's very much a color scheme that I work with quite frequently. The reds, the purples, the oranges, all that stuff. That's like 100% my wheelhouse. So it was mostly like, you know, working on getting that figured out. The sword, the reflective metal, absolutely something I need to work on. Metal is so difficult. But I didn't want the sword to be like too reflective, because if it was, you know, it might take too much attention away from everybody else. So I kind of avoided that. Also, I didn't really do much else on the archer rabbit. the sniper rabbit because I figured she was kind of okay. I tried to add some rocks in the front to make it look like the heavy blade rabbit was doing something cool, but then I just added some front rocks and added some extra lighting, went over some of the line art and tried to just make it all pop. A little bit of an adjustment, making it a bit more blue, and there you have it. And that is my rabbit and steel piece walked through. Yeah, I hope that was enjoyable. Thank you. Thank you guys for watching to the end of the video. This is something that I kind of want to do a little bit. I'm not sure if people are particularly interested in learning about my process. This feels like a very honest and genuine talk compared to my other videos. I struggle with script writing a lot. I write 5 versions of my script because when I write a version that I think I like, I end up being like, oh no, actually this isn't getting my point across. I need to keep editing and I need to keep adding and that kind of thing. And I am super, super bad at it. But this feels like a really fun way for me to at least get a video out a month and to talk about my process. And maybe somebody's curious about it, maybe somebody learns something, I'm not sure, but it just feels very honest and genuine. Anyways, fun little at the end of the video plug. I do have a Discord. If you join the Discord server, I'm always yapping in there. There's a lot of cool things. You can share your art, share your favorite stuff, food. I love food. I also have a Patreon with a $1 tier per month. If you would like that, I will show you all of my new artwork, of which there is a lot. I spent a lot of time drawing, an obscene amount. I have artwork ready to go up for over a month because I upload once a week for art. But yes, thank you guys for hanging out and watching this. This was something that I have never done before, and it's a little nerve-wracking because I just rambled. But I hope it was enjoyable. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye-bye!